And welcome back to Belligerence and Benevolence, our Tolstoyan game of good society. Everything is getting thick on the ground now. Napoleon has conquered Europe. Andrei is now his bosom friend or something like that. I don't know. There's stuff going on. There's probably going to be some marriages unhappy and more unhappy at some point tonight. We'll see what we're going to do. Death, war, marriage, taxes, maybe. I don't know. I am joined with an amazing cast that I cannot say enough about. So I guess I will start with my most frequent collaborator and partner in this whole mess, Serafina.
Hello. So I am playing Count Andrei Fydorovich Vasilev, who last we saw in the custody of Napoleon, who really is a lovely chap with great taste in wine and an excellent conversationalist, who is, torn between his desire and his duty to his family.
Yeah, lots of conflicting desires too. Next up is a guy I'm very happy to have at my table always, Richard, who is playing our dear Count Boris.
Count Boris is a university student who is fanatically devoted to loving and caring for everyone around him and never, ever, ever getting married and spending most of his life as a low-key friendly degenerate at university.
But you don't have your Heidelberg dueling scar yet, do you?
No, I don't.
I get it. Maybe you're going. What was the school Hamlet went to? Maybe you're going there. So next up, Leandro, who is playing our meddling Princess Svetlana Mozorova.
Hi, yeah. My name is Leandro. I'm playing the aforementioned Princess Svetlana. She's someone who thinks too highly of herself. Like I said, she's the meddler. She likes poking things around where she shouldn't be, but that's mainly because she kind of has no feeling for everyone else besides her best friend. Her family has a dark reputation of, well, not dark reputation, more like just a bad reputation of being terrible people. Most of it is well deserved. They kind of bought into their own hype. Svetlana as well. Last session, yeah, I think she spent most of it kind of trying to slowly break away from that and leaning more towards in favor of her friend, the only person she cares about in this entire world. Although her father was all, we didn't do too well in the war. You should do take one for the team, because you're part of my family. You have to do what I say. So all Svetlana cares about is her best friend, so that might be difficult for her.
Oh, Svetka, it'll be fine. And finally, the heart of the Kingsport Drama Society, our dear friend Daryl, who is playing Countess Vasilisa Ivanova Fedorova.
Hi. So Vasya is the stern and no-nonsense beauty of the Fedorov family, whereas her brother Boris is carefree and wiling. She's very straight-laced and has only the best intentions for her family and for their honor. Last chapter got pretty rough for her because basically all of the men that she cared about went off to war. First and foremost, her dear brother, who she believes that Andrei coerced basically into going. And then after the very, very unfortunate battle and the inability to reach anyone, started to worry about Andrei as well. So basically, she just wants her brother and her, whatever Andrei is to her, to come back safely.
I'm sure this is going to work out great in another 400 or 500 pages. So... I'm Kat. I'm facilitating. This was my crazy idea. I don't really regret it anymore. So I'm playing Prince Nikolai Andreevich Volkov, who is a elderly general who's had enough of war and is coming back to Petersburg to finally settle things with his beloved mistress, Katish. So, when last we left off, we had finished everything in the cycle except the upkeep phase. And since this is our second cycle, now we get to do stuff with our internal conflict. So everybody's got an internal conflict. They're sort of abstract poles of our expression. For example, mine is duty versus love. So what you want to do here is review all the actions you took in the previous cycle and see if you can check off any. You can check off both sides if you did things that could go either way. If you check off all 5 on one side or 6 total boxes, then you have completed your internal conflict, and we'll get to do some more stuff with you. And also, when you have checked stuff off, then you may refresh your resolve tokens up to 2 for every box you check off. So if you check off 3 boxes, you still only get 2 resolve tokens. If you only check off 1, you get 1.
Shadow is behind you, being real cute.
Shadow has decided that they're in a rambunctious mood right now, and that's been fun. Yep,
Oh, yeah.
there he is. Hi, buddy. Yeah, I see it. We have some people have really come to terms with their internal conflicts. I know Nikolai has. Yeah. So I'm just going to look at mine as an example. I took action in pursuit of duty and in love because I went back to being a general and also expressed my emotions to poor Katish finally. Sacrifice something important for this. Yeah, I think my insistence on bringing Andrei with me and sending him into the teeth of battle was pretty close to this. And ditto hurting or pushing away poor Andrei for the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Degraded my reputation. Actually, I think it's the other way around. By resigning from public life. Yeah. And that resigning from public life has pretty much destroyed my chances continuing to pursue duty. So poor Nikolai, he has wrapped up his internal conflict. It was kind of a tie. It's kind of a tie. Cool. So how is Princess Vasya doing?
So she, Sveta or Vasya?
Vasya.
So she took a little bit of both. She took action to pursue her family duty by continuing to try to orchestrate to tie her brother down to a good lady and keep the family name going. But she also took steps towards her independence when she sent that very, very candid letter to Andrei and made clear her deep felt desire to see him again. This was after she hurt him and pushed him away by basically telling him that the only reason that she would allow him to correspond with her over the war was so that he would update her on her brother. So that's 2 for family duty and 1 for independence.
Fair enough. I want to hear how Boris is doing because it looks like Boris is really struggling.
we had a lot of overlap in things for Boris. It was definitely a sense of duty that drove him to join the army, to keep his uncle happy, but also heavy pursuit of pleasure in following his friend Andrei, and continuing their affair, or having their affair, or who knows? They're both young. And then he sacrificed his sister's happiness for pretty much both duty in going to the army and in pleasure in refusing adamantly to get married, despite rumors, which doubled up on hurting or pushing someone away important to you. So I've been sort of bouncing back and forth about which fits better in which category. I don't think he's really degraded his reputation yet. I think mainly Sveta has degraded his reputation, but he still adores her, and she's one of his favorite people. And I don't think he's not made a decisive choice for one or the other yet.
Well, I mean, you're very close to figuring this all out but of course it could be like me in a tie.
Right.
Cool. So why don't we hear how Sveta is doing?
Yeah, I was actually wondering if I could still change this, because I kind of chose these when I really didn't have much idea what her progression is going to be. I think she's more interested in the more extreme versions of either of these categories.
Yeah, that's totally okay.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, we can fiddle with it.
Yeah, I think, because to be honest, I didn't really have a clue of what she wanted until I was made to monologue at the start of last session. So I'm gonna change this. This isn't revenge versus friendship now. This is now spite versus love. And I think, yeah, she definitely took action in both. I think agreeing to Vasya's frankly ridiculous scheme to marry off her brother, even though her brother is the most unmarriageable creature in existence. That's a supreme act of love on Sveta's part, because it's just a lot of hassle. But she definitely took also action in spite when she sent that letter to her dad to asking her basically, yeah, tell me if Andrei's a fuck up or not in this war. I guess you didn't need follow up from that, considering Andrei got captured. So that's fun. And you heard her push someone important to you for this. I think, despite what it looked like, definitely Maria was someone important to Sveta. I think the only reason she blew up on Maria and told her off at that with that luncheon was honestly because Vasya was there and Maria was being a prick around Vasya. So definitely it was it was hurting someone for love.
Oh dear. Oh dear. And finally, let's see how Andrei's doing.
Yeah, so I think Andrei took action in pursuit of both passion and obligation. He did what his uncle asked him to do, and he's pursuing a marriage, but he did kind of want Boris to come to the front lines with him for reasons. Sacrificing something important. He for sure sacrificed the life he wanted back in Russia to go to war, which is his family obligation. I don't think he's really hurt or pushed people away at all. And then I think that he went against his conscience in going to war. I think he's a pacifist. I don't think that's a thing that he wants to do. And then your actions in pursuit of this side destroyed your chance of successfully pursuing the other. I think, he's pushing to get married and to do the thing and be all respectable. And so, yeah, he can't very well do that and also pursue extramarital affairs with men. That's not really a thing he can do.
So you're saying you're not going to be able to wander around Italy in a big shirt hanging out with Percy Shelley?
I mean, I could probably manage it, but it wouldn't be wise.
I mean, you could do it. You just have to be married. But to be fair, so is Shelley.
I mean,
Cool. Since I finished mine, I'm just gonna kind of stick a pin in that because, as we've been discussing offline, I'm probably gonna bring in a new character because Nikolai's arc is getting pretty near its end, but I do want to see a few things with him before we usher the old prince off the stage. Cool. We still have some monologue tokens out there that need to get used. So we got to do that. And then hopefully everybody's refreshed up their resolve tokens. Yes?
Yeah, what do we do for refreshing resolve and monologue stuff?
So for every box you check off on your internal conflict sheet this turn, you get a resolve token up to 2. You can't get like 6 all at once. You have to work for it like Andrei does.
No one works for it like Andrei does.
hey.
He worked hard for that resolve, that's for sure. Cool. So we do have some monologue tokens out. We have Andrei, Vasya, and Sveta have not used their monologue tokens. So let's get some juicy monologuing going on here.
I for sure am going to spend my monologue token because I want to know what my uncle's thoughts are, both before and after he finds out like who I was taken captive by. Because there was a letter last time about.
Do we want to have this after you make your return to Russia?
No, I mean maybe. Whenever you feel is appropriate. I just want to know what his thoughts are and how he feels about all of that. And
So specifically about Andrei being alive, or just
Andrei being alive, Andrei having spent several months in the company of Napoleon, Andrei being a war hero.
Okay, cool. We can think about this as either a flash forward, or maybe we'll do enough of a time jump that this doesn't matter. But I think when Andrei comes back, he's been so popular among the French that he comes back wearing the uniform of Colonel of the Imperial Guard. I mean, it's an honorary rank, but still, it looks awesome. And all Nikolai can, as Nikolai meets him for the first time back in Petersburg, he looks at Andrei and just thinks, you look every inch a great war hero, even though I know that that's not what you want. And a year ago, my heart would have melted over this, but tonight it breaks to have almost lost you like this, and to have spent so much time apart, and now, even worse, I must hurt you, my son, because I am going to give I'm giving a portion of my estate to my child, and that is going to weaken your portion. And then he just falls back to reflecting about all the things he's done in his life to get him to this kind of sorry point, and not quite sure what to do about that. By the way, I do have a quick question for Arkatish. Was she married when they had their affair in Paris or Rome or whatever it was that resulted in a child? Or was she like single the whole time?
I think she was married. I think that other person thought that the baby was theirs. Like she raised that child as if it was his. But she used to tell that child stories about their true father. And she made it sound like it was like a godly visitation. But like, really, it was you.
So was the child acknowledged as a bastard, or?
No, that child was fully endowed with the nobility of their
Okay.
father. And
That is going to change a few things, but that's cool.
yeah,
Excellent.
I don't think she would be indiscreet enough to sleep with anyone as a single person.
Right. Cool. So we were married to the wrong people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Who wants to spend a monologue token next?
I had forgotten to refresh mine at the start of the last cycle, so I do have one. And I would like to hear what my sister thinks of well, I mean, when I was in the military, he was my Batman, and now he's secretary / valet. Um, who is on staff out of my personal allowance.
What's his name?
Timothy.
Okay. I'm just going to imagine that he looks like Timothée Chalamet, so headcanon. But dear, this is a monologue, not a letter, so okay. The scene framing is actually that I've visited your apartments for the first time, and I did not know that your secretary was a live-in man, and I saw him in a rather indiscreet form of dress, maybe coming out of your bedroom as I was on my way to the powder room, and so I'm sitting there staring into the mirror, and I'm seething with myself, and I'm clenching my handkerchief, and I'm just like, I thought he would have left those rumors on the battlefield. I thought that he would have known better. He came back. He was a hero. I was going to introduce him to my dear friend Dominica. This was going to be the point where everything was going to work out, and then I could finally do as I pleased. But no. Always, always, always. Boria, why must you be so complicated? It appears I will have to redouble my efforts. The first thing to go will be that silly valet. He will be the first thing that I remove from this situation. And I'm at this point, I actually tear my handkerchief into pieces, as I'm contemplating this, and they just tearing it into little strips, and I say, I know that he comes with a commendation. Perhaps I can get him hired on somewhere else. I'm sure if I dangle a better position in a different, finer house than this, I can get him to go away. The Fedorov family will always reign supreme, even over your caprices, little brother.
Wow. That needs to be an aria, dude. Seriously. Cool. Let's see. So that was Boris, right? Boris's token?
That was my token.
So we have Vasya and Sveta left, and ironically, they are among the. Actually, Vasya, you just went, so yeah, cool.
Yeah, I kind of want to. Wait, hold on. Let me check. All right, I kind of want to spend mine on Boris. Well, because I don't think anyone else can spend it on. Everyone else has monologue besides me. So I kind of want to hear the response. If in this metaphysical plane you could hear that monologue, what would Boris say in response to that?
So I think the setting is right after Vasya leaves my apartments. And I see her eyes glare. And I see the tension sort of come into her shoulders and her face, and I hear the change of voice. And it's right after she has left. Please. 1 second. And right after she's left, Boris goes alone into his study, which is not much larger than a closet. And he looks out the window and he inhales deeply several times. And then he just knocks clear everything on his desk onto the floor. And he's like, I have my allowance. I have my goals. I have a thin, small chance to spend time being happy. I have no desire to be the count of anything. And yet, her desires are what are supposed to govern my existence. They're supposed to govern my life. They're supposed to govern every little thing I do. Well, then fine. I will posture and pose and go through all the goddamn motions for her, but I will not give up anything in the process. If that is the condition of peace, then let's pay it and make her wish she had never set the price that high.
Wow. You sure you guys aren't like 15th century Italians instead of 19th century Russians?
If we were 15th century Italians, we might do it in public.
Okay. Cool. So I think we got what, one more of these to do? Two more. No, one more. One more.
Yeah, so I have a token that I'm going to spend on Sveta. And my question to Sveta is, how does it feel to see the ravages of war wreak havoc on your friends and family, but especially Vasya, who is taking an unexpected turn that you don't necessarily like?
I think the framing is Sveta is, as she always is, usually is, alone. I think this is the couple moments before her father officially comes back. I think there's this few fleeting moments when she's kind of just tossing up every detail and kind of remembering what's happened and kind of readying to submit herself back to what he wants, to his whims, if not his will. And as always, she tries to plot things out, but again, her mind, as always, goes back to Vasya. She goes back to what they talked about at the shit. No, McAfee started. No, McAfee, stop it! No, I don't want to scan now. Sorry. God damn it! All right. Well, that's embarrassing. Okay, so it goes back to. All right, better not be any more updates, computer. Okay, so it goes back to what they talked about, the dungeon, and yeah, I think she starts off by just thinking that, I thought I was meant to be the cruel one. I thought I was meant to be what? What do the people of Russia say? Well, the important people, when they say acid-tongued, irresponsible, unpredictable, a veritable leper in society. Well, my father always says that we've always been lepers and always survived. So what's that say about them? So I thought that's what I should be. I'll be cruel. I'll be meddlesome. I'll be the one who will take all the lashes, all the pain. I can bear it. Because, I've always known in my life that I'm nothing inside. There's nothing there to hurt, so I can take all that pain. And that was fine for a while. Well, fine for all my life, because I knew that the more I can take, the more Vasya avoids, the more she survives. But it seems I've not been doing my job. I've not done my job well. I've not shielded her as well as I could have. Instead, she's taken all these blows. She's taken all this pain. She already takes in so much. I'm worried that she could very well become the worst thing in the world. She could very well become like me. Someone who just does things in pursuit of what? Something they thought was worth pursuing a long time ago. But what I know is that you try so hard to grasp one thing, you'll take in so much and you'll dish out so much that once you get there, there'll be no one left but you. I can do that, but I don't think Vasya can. No. I don't want Vasya to do that. So I have to try harder now. I have to make sure she survives. I have to make sure she remains Vasya. And whatever that makes me, that's a good enough price to pay. And then here's a moment her father arrives. She breaks into sweet smile, kisses. How was the war? Etc., etc.
Wow. Right, Russian novel. Right. Deep. Cool. So everyone can refresh theirs back. We are in upkeep, so a couple things we want to do. First, I want to remember that we should have a safety discussion, because I added a safety and upkeep tab to this. So I put our lines and veils, lines being stuff we're not going to have, and veils being stuff that we'll just not have on screen. And your weekly reminder that we are using the X card, and the X card can be used to take content out of the game that we would find problematic or just not what we want to do tonight. And just do X card or say X card or type a big X in the chat, and we'll stop and go back and not ask any questions and just fix it. So cool. I always like to do that. I think collaboratively we're probably okay, unless if there's stuff that people would like to drive towards, we can talk about that here. And the other thing would be if people want to review their desires and make sure that those seem to be correct. If they still work for you, then that's great. If things have changed so that they're no longer possible, that's also a thing. And I did include on the safety and upkeep tab, there is a little table if you want to make your own desire. There's some suggestions for how to do that. I think I'm okay. I don't think I'm going to achieve it, but that might be the last thing I work towards. This one might be posthumous. Cool. Everyone else okay? All right. Let's clear the board. Fantastic. We're beginning cycle 3 now, which is novel phase. So let's gallop through a novel phase, and then we'll take our break, and then come back and do more fun stuff. So one thing I pitched last time was maybe doing this as a visitation chapter. I don't know if that still applies, but it is definitely an idea that we could do. A visitation chapter would be each character goes and makes a visit with some other character or characters, and has a short scene where they exchange. We could do another event. I mean, we haven't really had a grand ball with everybody in attendance. That's a thing. Or we could save that, and we could also just do a split chapter if people want to do that. But
my vote is for visitation, just because I think a couple of rounds of us going off and like really just having at each other would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I kind of want to save like a grand ball for like we proposed this offline to do a bit of a time jump, like a grand ball to catch people up after a bit of separation would be cool. So I think yeah, I prefer visitation for this chapter.
okay, that works for me. Anybody have a visit they want to make right away?
I think Andrei is going to come back and sort of immediately visit Vasilisa. So we'll see how that goes.
Do you need to have a discussion with Boris, who is the head of the family? Oh, actually, no. Right, that's right, because of your reputation condition. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
So
You're free to
desirable.
choose.
I'm so desirable.
Go for it.
I mean,
Countess, may I hope?
Yeah. Yep. I am. I'm so good. Yeah. So I think. I haven't even appeared officially like back at court yet. I've been home for a very brief period of time, like just enough time to see my immediate family. Like I've probably seen my uncle. And I show up at your house. I'm guessing you have like a butler or somebody.
But actually, I'd really love to throw Mika into the mix. So if Leandro wanted to jump in.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
And I think actually, like, are you expecting like or are you just kind of imagining this like the first time we lay eyes on each other, like you're just being announced or something?
Yeah, that sounds like a good way to start.
Okay, so I think that like as you were about to be announced, like you kind of hear like from the closed like foyer or the closed like study that we're in, like I'm basically like, you know, thinly veiled plotting to get Dominika to marry my brother.
I think Dominique is just serenely just like, yes, I hear all about Boris. Just has this like calm smile on her.
Yeah, so the butler comes in, or footman, I guess, comes in and announces me. And I immediately like bow very deeply to both of you.
I think that for a moment, I forget my propriety and I dash over and I grab your hands and I pull you up and I say, I'm so glad you're back.
And like, this is the most genuine smile you've maybe ever seen on my face. It like splits my face open, and I'm just like, your joy brings me such happiness. I hadn't expected a greeting like this.
And then I remember myself, and I like let go, and I like put the appropriate amount of distance between us, and I say, well, of course. I mean, I followed your exploits very closely in the newspapers, and I'm so happy to have you back. It's so good to see a familiar face again.
I hope you don't mind my presumption in coming without announcing myself.
Oh, of course, no. You are a dear friend to us here. You need no excuse.
And I walk over and very formally like bow over Dominica's hand.
I think during this entire time, she's just kind of like raising a teacup to her lips, and it's like, wow, that was an unexpected display. Are you sure the two of you don't need time alone? I'm sure I can excuse myself.
No, nothing inappropriate. I also hope you will forgive me in that I brought you something.
A gift?
Just a small thing. During my time in France, I spent most of it in Paris. They have the most lovely perfumeries there. And I know you like the smell of lilac, so... And he pulls like a small package out from his coat pocket, and it's this like beautiful little box that has a small vial of perfume inside it, and hands it to you.
I uncap it, and I like smell it, and like the scent of lilacs just like immediately like rolls over the room, and it's just heavenly.
Yeah.
And like as I very like demurely like smell the bottle, like you see like a brush crawl across my cheeks.
The French truly understand how to make fine things.
My Count Fyodorovich, you do know how to make an impact.
Is that what I'm making?
Well, it's certainly a memorable impression.
The two of you stop. You're as bad as my brother and Sveta.
Did I hear you conspiring against my dear friend before I came in?
I'm sure that you heard the rumors that have been following him ever since he went away to war.
What rumors are those? I have not had much time.
Oh, just tittle-tattle. And Dominica is like, deliberately kind of cutting across you. Here, just like, oh, just a little bit tittle-tattle. I've heard, but my dear Vasya tries to tell me that these are just sordid tales that Boris has become a victim of. The desire that dare not speak its name.
It is a cruel slander. My brother would never.
Oh.
Go on.
Oh no, go for it.
Oh, I definitely trust Vasilisa's judgment on this. Although I would like to hear some corroboration from yourself. After all, did you not fight in the war with our dear Boris?
We did. But I do think that you will find that there is not much time to follow one another around and check on every aspect of one's behavior.
Well, then let me ask, did he perform admirably in the war?
He did. I would not have gone to the front lines of a battlefield without him.
See, this is what's curious. This is what makes me curious about dear Boris, because prior to the outbreak of the conflict, he has been, you say, a bit distant in terms of his duties to his family and to his country. And yet suddenly I hear from our dear Vasya that he has upgirded himself and found his manhood, so to speak. And so I'm just curious, what sort of change has come across our dear Boris?
Andrei sort of draws himself up and looks you directly in the face and says, I don't think that any man can stand toe-to-toe with the enemy and not accord himself with all the dignity of a Russian nationalist.
And I kind of like gently glide between the two of you, and I say, oh, my dear Andrushka, I should have warned you. Dominika can be quite a handful. Please know that she does not mean harm by what she says. She is just a keenly discerning individual who has a way with words that some may find lacking.
I defer to you.
I
I would
promise.
remind you, Dominica, that the same things were said about me before the war.
Well, what's not like a good war to change one's perception on people? Why, you and Vasya certainly seems most unperturbed in your relationship. I'm merely interested in seeing such a change upon my sweet friend.
Nika, I'm sure that you're far overestimating what this means. I have told you before that the Count is a dear friend, and to have him back has just filled my heart with joy because he has been so well familiar with our family for so long.
Is that all it is then?
Oh, and then like she runs. She's just like excuse me.
I'll give you a token from Dominica's pool if you explain yourself. If you stand your ground.
Oh, I was going to chase her out of the room.
It's okay. I kind of want to see what Andrei will do if he chases after her. So I think I will let Dominica hold on to that token for now.
He very formally and slowly bows to Dominica and says, "If you will excuse me."
Oh.
And then, follows after her. Where does she wind up? Where's the place that she like kind of always goes when she's upset?
Oh, it's the courtyard out by that fountain.
Okay. So he walks outside very slowly, doesn't rush to chase you, and then sits just out of reach next to you on the fountain, on the lip of the fountain. I'm sorry if I upset you.
It is not you who have upset me. Dominica always seems to rub me the wrong way.
Is it true that all you think of me is as a friend?
Oh, Andrei, why would you... Did I not make myself clear in my letter? You would have me say it now, brazenly, like some common woman.
Well, what if I say it first and then you are not so brazen?
I suppose that would be within propriety.
I came here with every intention of asking you to marry me.
She's just speechless. She's like this was far more than she expected of the situation.
He very gallantly gets down on one knee in front of you and says, "You are the only thing that I could think of at the front lines. You were the natural ending of all of my happy thoughts of being home in Russia. And all I want is your hand, if you'll have me."
You see the blush of color just bloom across her face, and she kind of doesn't even stand, but just kind of falls towards you and wraps her arms around you, and just you hear a sigh, and you feel the tension in her back just release, and she says, yes, of course.
He picks you up off the ground and spins you in a big circle, and then kisses you very chastely on the forehead because he's trying not to be too forward.
And then I think that she smiles and says, she blushes again and looks away, casually throwing glances up at you, and not casually, but sneakily throwing glances up at you, and at least she thinks it's sneaky.
Yeah.
Then she kind of loops her arm in yours and then leads you back to the study. She's like, I think we have good news to share with my dear old school friend.
And he laughs, and it's this big booming masculine laugh that kind of fills the hallways, and says, yes, I think we have good news for all of Petersburg.
I'm not really sure it's against her best interest, but I really think that merited a resolve token from you.
Yeah, I'm down.
So let's pop. Yep. we go. Cool.
Yay!
Oh my god.
Well.
It's kind of
Who wants to do a visit next?
Sveta's gonna visit Boris.
Oh, dear God.
Just cut straight to it. I think she's gonna go.
Sorry,
straight to
moving between windows was going crazy. So
Yeah, I think she's gonna go straight to your apartment. Like any true rivals, she knows exactly where you live.
You know, I'm so tempted to spend a resolve token to have Vladimir be there.
Hey,
wait,
One of my
what?
plots was actually to get Timothy hired by Vladimir. So I did that.
He is merely paying a visit to his old comrade in arms now that he has returned to Petersburg.
yeah, but is Timofey gonna be there as well? Or maybe
I
not.
mean, he is permanently in residence there, so
Yeah, well, that means Kat will be there, 2 people there.
So, does that work for you?
Okay, if you want to do that.
I am so down with this. Oh yeah.
God damn it.
Oh, we're all just gonna be pawns on your chessboard now. Sveta.
God.
I detest Vladimir so much. And now he's in my drawing room. It's one of the few people who could make me overwhelmed with joy to see Sveta.
Oh, I got you monologuing, not even spending a token. It's amazing.
we could just spend that.
It's a free monologue. A free, very short monologue.
I kind of want to see what's the scene that like Sveta like when she knocks. What are you two discussing?
It's probably Vladimir trying to come up with something to discuss.
You should have seen our charge at Eylau. It was magnificent. I lost half my regiment.
You'll excuse my poor tea-making skills. My man is out.
Why do you not find yourself an appropriate wife, my dear Count? Ah, Princess! I am so overjoyed to see you.
Sveta, I have literally never been happier to see you in my entire life. And I've been happy to see you on many occasions.
Allow me to tender a similar compliment, and he bows and extravagantly kisses your hand. And he's in his hussar's uniform, which, you know, is gaudy and tight as hell, so.
I whisper mouth an apology to you for his being here when you show up.
Yeah, I think she whispered out the equipment. Oh, no worries, that's fine. It's all right. Well, this is unexpected. Both what you've said there, Boris, and you, Count Smirnov. I hope I'm not intruding in anything. Am I?
What is Vladimir's patronymic? Valentinovich?
Vladimirovich.
Vladimirovich.
It's a name so great that we used it twice.
Vladimirovich has stopped by to talk about old times at the war.
Yes,
I only regret that we were not closer to each other in the line.
just 2 old soldiers discussing our campaigns. But now we are graced with the presence of a beautiful young woman. We can put aside such sordid tales and speak of finer things.
I would not discount Sveta's ability to discuss any topic that she puts her mind to.
Yeah. I think. Sorry, Vladimir has caught me off guard. But yeah, she's like, Boris, and her attention tries to glide away from Vladimir. She's like, well, I never thought you to be the type to exchange stories of war with old friends, but
When they
times.
do stop by, surprisingly, one takes on surprising turns of conversation.
Well, I'm sure the two of you have much to discuss
No,
about.
please do stay. Your influence on any conversation is much to be sought after.
Well, if you
I
insist.
say, handing you a cup of tea.
Is it that does Boris know exactly what kind of tea she likes?
I believe so. I also point to the flask that's behind, like a series of decanters.
Yeah, I think as Sveta speaking, she's gonna grab that and just gonna douse it a bit in the tea. Just like, oh, very well. Though, as much as you rate my abilities to enter into any such conversation, Boris, I'm sure I wouldn't have much to say about your experiences at Austerlitz.
No, but you would have much to say about the international situation, I'm sure. You are an astute observer of current events. And surely you must have been in communication with your father.
Ah, yes, my father, the dear Prince Morozov. I hope you had not. I hope you had not been lucky. Sorry, my sentence has been. I hope you had been lucky enough to be spared a glimpse of him out in the battlefield, so to speak. Either of you, really.
Vladimir, did you see the prince on the field? I do not recall encountering him.
I must regret that my position at the extreme forward part of our army prevented me from observing things that were going on at headquarters.
Amazing! Out there at the front, and yet you still live. Truly providence.
God has armored me against our enemies, perhaps for some higher purpose. I myself hope that my return to Petersburg is a sign of the good fortune that I intend to enjoy.
Surely a reward for genteel and saintly character.
You are too kind, Count.
I am.
Damn it. Though I've heard many a tale as well of exploits out there in the front. Though I shan't repeat them in the present company. The fact that the two of you still live is sign enough that God indeed has higher purposes for both of you.
Sveta, I have not noted such a devotional turn in your conversations before.
Oh, war and uncertainty does strange things to people.
It does.
As much, yeah. I would have thought that war had changed you much, Boris, but I'm actually glad to see that you've retained much of yourself within you.
I am enjoying the salubrious benefits of the presence of an old friend. More tea?
Certainly.
Vladimir, Vladimirovich, would you more tea for you?
Of course, my dear Count. Princess, if I may indulge you for one moment.
Oh, certainly. I can't say no to Boris's old friends.
Princess, if I might be so bold, may I call upon you at your home, perhaps tomorrow afternoon? I wish to discuss a matter of great importance between us.
Oh, truth be told, Count Smirnov, that is indeed quite bold. And I would like an intimation of what we're about to discuss. I would rather not. I would appreciate if you'd not spring any unexpected matters upon me.
Well, are you guys far enough away from Boris that you're out of earshot?
Yeah, I'd say dramatically. Or
I think dramatically Boris has to return to get more warm water.
Princess, you have captivated my heart like no other woman. And I wish to discuss with your father the possibility of asking for your hand, but of course you are free to choose on your own. But, Princess, please tell me I may hope.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that token. Yeah. Sveta sighs and just kind of like, oh, who am I to deny hope to a veteran such as yourself, Count Smirnov? I'm sure my father would be delighted to have you for dinner.
Why do I feel like you mean that literally? Cool. This is horrible. It's awesome. Well, I think Vladimir is going to bid a hasty retreat at this point. He got what he was looking for. Now he's got to go and get some courage in him.
Yeah, I think once he's left, yeah, I'm gonna drain the last of that tea. And funny enough, last month's game I played was a vampire, so there you go. Yeah, so I'm gonna put on tea and just. I hope you had made friends of better caliber than the likes of him out in the front lines, Boris. Otherwise, your touch is fading.
Should we go outside so we'd prevent causing any scandals? Just on the balcony. I would hate for anyone to spread rumors about either one of us.
Yeah, let's.
Or
Out there in the open,
especially since my servants are not here.
Forthright as always. Yeah, I think at the balcony. Would I have to spend a token to know about the engagement between Vasya and Andrei? Because I think this might be fairly close.
I was going to spend a token to have like an urgent messenger show up and give you the news right now. So.
Yeah, I kind of want to spend a token to have known it already. But if you want the urgent, you want Boris to like receive it now.
Yeah, I think knowing it already is fine, and give us a token.
Yeah.
As we continue to ping pong back and forth upon your chessboards.
Jeez. Oh God. And I think yeah. So I've known this, and I'm kind of like, well, have you heard the happy news, Boris?
Which happy news?
Oh, there are many things. After all, Russia's done well in its treaty with France. I believe Napoleon has announced our birth, who knows, whatever. Oh, and the happiest news of all, your dear sister, our dearest Vasya, has finally gotten engaged.
I set down my teacup very firmly and look a little pale. To whom?
To the one we always knew she was going to be engaged with. Your dearest friend, Count Andrei Fyodorovich.
Andrei Fyodorovich and Vasilisa Ivanova. Well, I did not think there was going to be another happy moment between my sister and I for some time, but
Oh? Has something gone amiss, Boris? I would have thought this would... No, this would never have made you terribly happy, would it?
She has developed a cruel streak, my sister. I mean, you and I have always been spiteful to one another, and I should apologize for that. But we have developed a certain armor, I think, from each other's barbs. Would that be true?
Yes, I think there's a point where it all just became old hat, doesn't it? And I do believe some of our spite has rubbed off on dear Vasya.
She has developed barbs of her own that find their way between all of my armor.
Well, what would you do now?
Pardon me while I pop back to get a name. What do you think of Dominika Anatolovia?
Jeez, I have to talk about the character. Only passing remarks from Vasya. She vouches quite dearly upon her friend's name. Actually, hold on. I need a reminder, actually, from the second session, from what we and Vasya talked about. Did she want me to big up Dominika, or she wanted
Yeah.
to tear? Or what?
So
Sorry.
so Vasya wanted you to convince Boris to marry Dominika, whether that was through like legitimately singing her praises or trying to reverse psychology.
Oh man, I think if Vasya had not become a gun.
I do believe that Vasya and Andrei will be very, very happy together. But you know as well as I know, there will be a very different kind of happiness between myself and any woman I marry.
So what would you prefer then, Boris?
I want to know that I might marry someone more cunning than my sister, more crafty, someone who has her own agendas, someone who's just marrying me to get her own way. I do not want someone who has romantic delusions.
Sveta raised an eyebrow. Well,
I
then
want
the question.
someone more like my sister's dear friend Sveta, who sees things as they are, without being distracted by complications.
You seem so certain that no woman on God's given earth can ever hope to match with you, then.
No, but you must admit, it's very difficult to ask a woman if that's what she's looking for.
So instead, you'll turn to the only woman you know as well as your sister.
The only woman I trust more than I trust my sister.
Do you want to know why I loathe you so much, Boris Ivanovich?
It will break my heart to find out that loathing is sincere, but please, go ahead.
I had thought it sincere a long time ago, but now I've come to realize that it was mostly irrational. You see, dear Boris, I had always thought you foolish, unappreciative, arrogant, possessed of so many privileges yet willing to throw them away for your own good, and to let your vices fall upon your dear sister. Most of it I still think through, but I can't deny that pushing those along has only furthered what we have done to dear Vasya. And I do believe that, and she looks at you straight in the eyes, no one else on God's given earth cares about Vasya as much as the two of us do.
What I would like to know, dear Sveta, and which I do not know anyone I can ask except of you. I don't want my marriage to be a hell for myself or for my wife.
Well, I wouldn't call this hell, what we have right now.
Oh, with you?
More like, no, it's more like a Cold War, so to speak. Let's be honest, Boris, we've never truly, if we would have gone for the gut a long time ago.
Yes. But you are an artist at this sort of thing, and it would be a shame to see a true artist destroyed. And plus, it's really just not my role to do that. I'd be the one lying on the pavement bleeding out if we decided to go for the gut. You are much better at this than I am.
Oh, you flatterer. Well, I can't deny that what we'll have is not a marriage of love, but convenience. In fact, Vasya going off to be Andrei's bride leaves you with a feather of household, and that should be enough to placate certain people. Certain people I know. Sorry, Cat. Sorry, Cat. I'm stealing your man from you. Very well, Boris. And let me be your unhappily, yet dearly happily married bride.
I cannot believe that I am such a lucky human being to have a friend such as you. Or that my sister is so lucky. Or so fortunate, Princess. With the first marriage, we will be able to move out of an apartment.
You're right, Boris. You are indecently lucky.
I am indecently lucky. But, I am more lucky to be marrying a woman who appreciates independence.
At least I'm lucky enough to be marrying a smart man. Sorry.
I was going to say, that is the only true gift I can give. Well,
It's better gifts than most. I think in the two of them aren't gonna hug or anything. They're just gonna stand apart. So they look out into the streets.
You're the worst. You're the absolute worst. Do we need to take a break, or can we plow through to the last two visits?
I think we should plow through it. I'm good with that if everybody else is.
I'm cool.
I'm gonna go just grab some water though. I think I need to. So I'll be right back.
Okay. Cool. So, though of course the visit I wanted to make, I wanted to bring in Alen, but we can maybe bring that in as soon as when Daryl gets back. Makes it dramatic. What I was thinking about. There we go. What I was thinking about doing is, so our beloved Prince Nikolai, knowing that the current situation of his attempts to legitimize his child successful and get approval from the Tsar to marry Katish being held up, make staying in Petersburg society uncomfortable and difficult. Therefore, he has purchased a small but charming estate out in the countryside. And I think he has gathered his closest family there, though I think Andrei may be en route, or maybe he is out talking with, maybe he's back in Petersburg planning the wedding. So it's Katish and his beloved, if somewhat wayward daughter, Ellen. Yelena Nikolaevna Volokova. Actually, no, Akrimova. Right, because she's married to that degenerate novelist. Cool. So I think Tisha's arrived a day or two ago, and I have to have family there to make this look kind of legit. You're just my house guest, but wow. Now that I've set this up, I am actually kind of scared to have our first scene with Katish and the prince together.
It's so good.
Oh, it's so good, but oh my god, I'm scared. All right.
Are
So
you still convalescing from your injuries, or are you kind of okay?
I think I'm kind of okay, but that walking stick I use ain't ornamental anymore.
Okay.
I'm pretty hobbled.
Yeah. Okay, so how should we open this? How do you want?
Walking in the garden?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I have to sit down on a bench for a moment because it's too much for my leg.
Yeah. What's his favorite, like, drink of choice? Like a port, maybe? Vodka? Something?
Yeah, no, yeah, I think like a port. I think definitely the perfect thing for a hot day.
Right. So when they sit on the bench, she reaches down into the little like side bag and pulls a flask out and says, "It is your favorite."
My dearest Katish, this is scandalous. This is like the time we were in the embassy in Paris.
One of the beautiful things about both of us being as old as we are is that we no longer have to care about scandalous behavior.
Katish, I am sorry that things are not progressing as we had most fondly hoped, but Her Highness the Dowager Empress, as you may imagine, is somewhat protective of you and also of her reputation.
She puts a hand on your hand and says, "My darling Coco, I am only happy that you came back to me alive."
I should never have left. I should never have done many things. We should have run away like we talked about that one night. We could have gone... Spain. People vanish in Spain for a while. Italy.
I have known several inopportune young ladies who have given birth in Spain.
Well, there you have it then. You could have been the dark goddess of Roman society for years.
My darling, we would not have been as happy as we can be now if we had done that then. We would have been poor and penniless and walking the streets within a month, and we would have crawled back to our families, disgraced. You would not have married well.
Oh, that's true, though. That the condition of both of us being married did not prevent things at a later date, of course.
Of course. But it is the way of things. We all have our foibles.
Was it also a foible that you mocked me for my marriage, Papa?
Elena Nikolaevna, how wonderful to see you in such fine health today.
Yes, very fine.
Katish
I see you are.
Oh, sorry. Katish rises up and kisses her on both cheeks and is like, "My darling girl, you are more beautiful every time I see you."
As are you, Princessa, and it is so nice to be able to greet you less formally.
I have always thought of you as my own child.
Perhaps if I were your own child, you would have been less judgmental than my dear Papa.
Darling, women always are.
My dearest Yelenka, we must discuss a few things.
I hope certainly one of them is that I can finally invite Lennon home with me.
I have agreed to pay off your husband's latest debts. so that you know that will come substantially from the portion that I had hoped to set aside for my darling godson, Andrei.
He is merely your godson, and I am your daughter.
Yes. And your husband, I know, is trying to be a good man. And yet, every spring I receive yet another note with a courteous demand for 10 or 15,000 rubles lost in a gentlemanly game at some darkened table.
Lenya is just looking for investments.
My darling, no man ever found investment at a card table.
He is trying his best.
He is, but it would be better if he had a profession.
Ellen, as I said, I have paid his current debts, but I do not know how much longer I shall live on this world. You, of course, will receive a proper settlement as befits a daughter, and the daughter of a general and a prince. But you must know two things. I have set aside a portion for Andrei that is as good as if he had been my natural son. And the second is, there's no easy way to say this. You have a half-sister, and I have chosen to adopt her and give her my name.
You mean that not only do I have to share what is rightfully mine with Andrei, who is not even blood, but now I have a sister I knew nothing about?
Oh, you've met her. For she is my daughter.
Katish.
Well, if we are going to tell her, let us not tell her half-truths.
If Kutuzov had been half as bold as you, we would not have lost at Austerlitz.
I maintained that I would make an excellent general.
I was just taking a moment,
yeah.
You mean to tell me that Vetya, Elizaveta, is my sister?
I understand she prefers to use some French name now. But of course, that would run in the family, so... Yelenka, yes, I'm going to do this. I have committed too many sins. Allow me to atone for a few of them now, before I am called to whatever reward I have merited. I pray that it is with our Savior, but I am not optimistic at all times.
Don't say such things.
Katish, surely this is not the place to talk about such things.
Well, you began this little soiree into what is sinful and what is not, and who goes to hell and who goes to heaven. So I feel as though it is the perfect place to discuss such things. Don't bring it up if you don't want me to talk about it.
Truly, Papa, I think that you are much too hard on yourself. After all, you've worked so very hard to build such a legacy, and I think that it is only right that you talk about how that shall be dispersed. And I hope that in your newfound charity, you might see fit to bestow a little bit upon myself and Lenya. Before.
Very well. I shall give you and Nenya our home in Petersburg. I have no use for it anymore. I do not think, if I am called back to His Majesty's court for any reason, I shall certainly find lodging with one of my friends.
My darling, we can always use my apartments.
I'm trying to. You may have the house, and my daughter shall receive this estate unless Andrushka wants it. Katish, I could not help myself, but I did have fond hopes that perhaps one day they would meet, and, well, just a foolish old man, I suppose.
I mean, engagements have been broken before, my darling.
Do not remind me of things that I should have done when I was younger.
I'm not saying that you should have broken up my engagement. I am too old to live with regret.
I married a very good woman. I regret that we were married, for she was never happy with me. I'm so sorry to talk about this in front of you, Elena, but marriages are difficult.
It is a day of revelation, Papa. Surely I can see that nothing is being held back. So I thank you for your charity.
I'm sure my son-in-law will find something to write about out of all this.
He is doing his best. His new stuff is fantastic. I'm sure this will finally be what makes it all happen.
Well, God be praised. Perhaps it shall be.
Kadisha's face is like...
She's completely oblivious to the judgment. She's just like, yes, he's brilliant.
Cool. That's all I wanted out of that. I'm gonna just pay. I think Elena's earned that token because I'm screwing with you so hard right now.
Yeah.
Cool. So you want to take your visit there, Vasya?
Yeah. So I think that I am gonna go visit Vladimir, and I think that I'm going to have the Count Valentin Fedorovich Fedorov with me. This is an emissary of the Fedorovs.
I pity poor Vladimir. I would like it somehow that all of the three characters I play somehow throughout this entire session just tear him apart. Poor dear.
Oh, you're visiting poor Vlad? Okay. Poor Vlad.
So where does he live?
He has taken apartments with a couple of other military officers. And he's got his batsmen, and it's a pretty rowdy place. It's not really the kind of place that a respectable woman should show up, but Vasya is determined, I guess.
I'm also accompanied by my uncle, who will see to it that my honor and my purity are not besmirched in any way.
I think when you arrive, there's a flurry, and like his batsman comes back a couple times. Like the Count will be ready in just a moment, and finally he comes down in his full dress uniform, clearly freshly shaved, and quite possibly having just woken up. My dear Count and Countess. What an honor and an unexpected pleasure.
And I held out my hand delicately, and I said, like my left hand with my wedding ring on it. Well, is that a thing? Do they have rings? Just say.
Yes, may I congratulate you on the happy news of your engagement to the very brave Count Vasilev. You'll forgive me. I have a slight headache this morning. It pains me to have to confess an infirmity, of course, in front of company, but...
I've heard that pain multiple times. Vladimir.
It is Smirnov. We came specifically because we had a suggestion and a bit of a favor to ask.
I would be honored to help you in any way that is within my power, my dear Countess.
As you may know, my dear brother Borya. Do I know about Borya and Sveta yet?
Do you want to spend a revolve token? You got 1 million of them.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. And I'll give it to Borya.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just spend it. It doesn't always have to exchange.
Oh, okay.
If you think this is contrary to Boris's interest, then yes. I mean,
definitely.
Okay, then sure.
Yeah, I'm conniving right now, which is definitely the tag I'm going to take later on. So say, as you may know, the good news, my dear brother has decided to marry my dear friend, Sveta.
Yes, I was very happy to hear the news.
As was I. And I think that I come to you asking a favor.
You have only but to ask, Countess.
You see, I know that for a young man such as yourself, that the rigors of society life are so much different from war, and that you might benefit from having a guiding hand. And I happen to know of a very excellent valet and secretary who will be looking for new employment very soon.
Well, I have a batsman, but an excellent secretary. Is he a well-connected man?
Yes, he moves around in very influential and beautiful circles.
Oh, I would be happy to accept into my employ anybody that you choose to recommend. Your reputation is unimpeachable.
Yes, I do feel so sorry for the man. After all, once Boris marries, he won't have need for an outside valet because he'll be taking over the staff at the Federal House.
Oh, yes, that's true. Yes, I would be happy. Certainly, like I have the pleasure to count the Count as one of my good friends.
Yes, and Uncle dear, don't you think that it would be such a good idea for Mr. Olegovich to help the Count Smirnov?
Sorry, I just realized I mixed up my verbs there in that message I sent to chat. That's embarrassing. Yeah, and I think Valentin kind of he's kind of above this, but he's just like, yes, of course, we wouldn't have spared any expense for whatever Batman, our dear Boris, required. But now that he is to be without employment, I'm sure he'll learn quite a lot from your tutelage, Count Smirnov.
Well, yes. It may. No, there is but the one thing I can think of. My orders have recently come. I requested from the command that they send me away from Petersburg, as I've had one or two disappointments here, and also there are some debts that must be paid that I will pay once I have restored my fortune with the spoils of war. I am being sent down to the Caucasus, where I will fight the Turks, and then perhaps I will fight the Turks in Turkey. The situation is very fluid. His Majesty has many plans in mind. So I'm afraid that if I take your man, he will be outside of Russia for quite a long time.
I think that dear Mr. Olegovich would be happy to see more of the world, don't you, Uncle?
Quite right. After all, what a self-respecting young Russian lad would want to go out there and see the world, especially under such experienced tutelage as yourself, Count Smirnov?
Well then, Countess, I've always considered you a friend, and if it would please you, I shall write you from the Caucasus and let you know how Timofey Olegovich is comporting himself.
Yes, I'm. Such a stormy night we're having.
I am afraid that some of my brother officers do occasionally create a ruckus next door.
Yes, I think that would be delightful. I'm sure my husband and I would love to hear about what's going on with Mr. Olegovich.
My only sorrow is that I shall not be in attendance to your wedding. But
What a tragedy.
Yes, it shall be the event of the year, I think. Have you decided on Petersburg or Moscow?
I think that in the way of these things and the way things are going, that Moscow is where we want to be married.
How wonderful. The sacred capital of Russia's heart is the fitting place.
And then
It would-
go ahead.
No, go on. Go on.
I was just gonna say, like, I think that's the point where I'd be like, well, we should take our leave, and then I want to have like a sideline conversation with my uncle for like a couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, well, it was so good of you to have us, Count, and I very much look forward to the gainful employment you'll be offering Mr. Legovich.
Yeah, I think no, Countdown isn't gonna say anything else. He just says,
Oh, okay.
No, that's in to Smirnov.
Oh, okay, that was to Smirnov, actually.
Yeah, no, I got that.
Yeah, and then
as in, after you say that, Countdown isn't gonna say anything to Smirnov. He's just gonna follow you.
Okay. I think then at that point, like as we're leaving, I wrap my arms around my uncle's arm and I say, well, hopefully that's one problem taken care of.
Vasilisa, I have to admit, you've come to your own as the head of your house. Normally, I wouldn't be caught settling the affairs of yourself and Boris. But seeing the change within you and Boris finally stepping up, both in war and in marriage, I do believe the two of you are worthy of Ivan's name.
Thank you, dear uncle. I'm glad that finally the Fedorov name can be raised up to where it belongs.
I would not believe I'd said this now, but if only my own daughter had a thimble of your cunning.
Rosalina is my next project. I'm sure that we'll be able to sort her out soon enough.
I welcome your assistance there, dear Vasilisa.
Oh, dear uncle, I think this might be the beginning of the happiest years of our relationship.
Yeah, all right, now we can end it there.
Okay. This seems like a good spot for us to take a quick break and come back and try and blast through some more stuff and write some letters. That's the part everybody loves. So I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. How does that sound?
I love that we were all like, yeah, let's do visitation chapters. It'll be quick. We'll breeze through them all. It'll be grand. No, it's never going to happen.
All that plot couldn't help it.
Yeah, so much. Yeah, oh my god. You can't help yourself, can't you, Daryl? But not
I tried so hard to be good.
2 whole sessions where you were like, but the darkness. I thought I was marrying this sweet girl.
She's still gonna be sweet. She's just got a conniving streak now. That was technically always there. She just got better at it.
That's fair. That's fair. It's great.
Cool. So we're going to do rumor and scandal. I have made a few changes on this sheet, so you may peruse those when you're ready. But I think we'll get a little bit further into that in the epistolary. So cool. Rumor. So reputation first. How's everybody doing with their reputation?
Let me see.
So I definitely took a negative tag, and that's gonna give me like a negative condition. So that's for sure.
Dark Cornerstone. That's wow.
Oh gosh. Well, I gain a positive tag. I think.
You were too good for this world, Andrei.
Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
fall hard. It's gonna be bad.
Well. Are you're gonna fall hard? You say, huh?
Listen, what do you find out who I'm writing my letter to? Leandro's so excited. Yeah, so I gain a positive tag.
I think I got a positive. I acted in obedience to society's conventions. Got a husband. So.
He's gay as a maypole, but you got him. What matters.
Yeah, I think I get at least one positive reputation tag to add there. But perhaps also a negative tag? I need to look again. Oh, yeah. We're acting in obedience to society's conventions, but also acting with a desire in a way that compromised my duty.
Yeah, for sure.
What about Sveta?
I just said, yeah, I got a
Sorry.
positive.
Wow. I see the worm turning between you and Vasya. It's kind of... Oh, dear. Are we sure that Vasya... That her last name doesn't mean Greenwood? Because that could be a thing.
Did I just make a character that's just sad inside? I just did that, didn't I?
Yeah. She's technically angry too.
Look, guys, it's okay. It's a long novel. People will change in the course of it. All right. Rumor and scandal. I'm trying to remember who I had start last time, and I don't recall. So I think it was Serafina. So I don't know. How about Leandro? You want to start?
Rumor and scandal.
Let's see, because I assume like after episode we're kind of jumping forward
Mm-hmm.
a bit. Let's see. Didn't have anything in mind, so I'm just going to do what I do and just spread. Actually, which one's gonna spread? Yeah, I should give people more opportunities to talk shit about my family. So I'm gonna spread Prince Victor's relieved the command. I mean, after all, he wrote saying, we didn't make as much money as we thought we would. Wonder why.
Cool. Why don't we do Richard next?
You know, there's so few rumors about Andrei.
I know, right?
But I think there's a rumor about Andrei loving wine. Well, no, loving continental spirits.
Mm.
I bet.
Why don't we spice that up? Why don't we just go straight to the heart of it? Andrei is drinking way too much. I know we all want to be cool and reserved, but let's just
Let's just lean in.
Let's just twist this a little bit. All right. Yeah, there we go. Drunkard. That's a great word.
Oh.
Cool. On I go. Actually, yeah, I'll go. Let me see what we got here. Oh, man. Yep. I'll take the coward's way out. I'm gonna spread that rumor.
Well.
But they didn't have Prozac. I'm just saying. Why don't you go next, Serafina, and then we'll let Daryl do the back to back.
I am going to be mean to myself and go ahead and spread the rumor that Andrei is only marrying to cover up his love for Boris. Lots of battlefield rumors occurred.
That's terrible. Okay,
I'm a terrible person.
Daryl, you get to go twice now.
First rumor is that Count Vladimir contracted a social disease that has been traced back to his secretary. But we don't know who the missing link is. It has to be someone between the two of them, right? And then I am going to spread the rumor of Andrei's only marrying to me to cover up his love for Boris.
Yeah.
Gonna get right to that unhappy marriage.
Do it.
Cool. I believe that's you next, Serafina.
So I am going to go ahead and say that who do I want to fuck with? Oh gosh. I'm actually gonna spread the rumor that oh wait, where is it? That Sveta has the secret French fiance. Now that she's getting ready to get married. People are expecting that dude to show up and be pissed.
Yeah, I mean, did I jump the gun on changing Sveta's name, or are you actually going to marry Boris?
That's probably gonna happen. Yeah, we should have. But I bow to inevitability.
Oh my god. Okay. Cool. I guess that's me next. Might as well get something in on the new character.
Oh, I didn't realize she was entering. I totally would have made one up about her. Oh well.
It's totally okay. So Babette has refused to give Hélène what her father left her in the will.
Oh, kind of into it. Hélène sucked.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm guessing that you left a girl there. Dish.
I have decided to leave both the connections in place and change the relationship. Though, as a note and reminder to everyone, we are basically at the midpoint of the game. So, if you wish to introduce a third connection, we can do that. I may well be doing that at some point because
Yeah, probably me too.
we need to have all the marriages be unhappy, right?
Also, it's a Russian novel.
There need to be more people.
This is true. The second part is definitely true. There are happy marriages in Tolstoy. Eventually, after a lot of stuff.
Lots of crying, screaming, drinking.
Hey, Levitt and Kitty are happy.
Yeah,
Eventually.
crying, screaming, drinking, murder.
Eventually, they're happy. Eventually. Don't make
Such a long time.
Now I feel sad for them.
No.
Leandro, you're up now. After we got through that tangent.
Is Richard gone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh,
Right. We started with you, Leandro. That's right. Richard is next.
oh, there's so many good options to. Let's put out a rumor that about Vasya has mismanaged the family estates and fortunes. Rumors are terrible. I don't know where you people come up with these things.
Hey, I usually take the cards way out and just spread them. And
Yeah.
finally, Leandro.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same because that is actually the exact rumor I was gonna put in. So I will spread that so that could be used right away.
Leandro, clearly we need to play together way more often because we're just as evil.
Yeah, it was such a long time since the last play with you. Like what, July?
Yeah.
Far too long.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have a bunch that aren't fading because they got resolve tokens on them. So, hoo. Oh no, we're not all gonna be evil. Not again.
I'm nice.
Actually, Kingsport 1692 had a lot of neutral evil people in it.
Yeah, neutral evil. That's real.
It was very neutral. Honestly,
Characters or players?
No
Right?
comment.
All the
were
players are true evil.
we were just ahead of our time. That's all.
Right?
And I like to believe I was justified in that game, all right?
Listen, our sex rituals would have been celebrated in 2019.
Totally.
Fair. Right, so I guess I should take a little bit of time out. So yeah, I'm going to change characters. I think Nikolai got exactly where he belonged and made a better show of it than he had any right to expect. So this is his daughter, Princess Elizaveta Nikolaevna Volokova, or as she prefers to be called, Babette, because she was raised in Paris, essentially, or went to school in Paris, and then in London after the war started. She is bookish and shy, completely at sea in society, and but if you can get through her reserve, she is quite charming and is extremely well read in philosophy and mathematics, and has the other ordinary accomplishments of a gentlewoman in society. So, and I have kept the two connections. I think Katish thinks that Babette is going to be eaten alive, and Ellen thinks that she's stealing what is rightfully hers. So that's fair. Cool. We've done rumor and scandal and reputation. We're on to epistolary. Does anyone have a letter to write?
I have a letter to write.
Oh dear.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Do it,
interrupt you.
Boris. No, do it.
I would like to spend a resolve token that I'm handling my own correspondence right now. And I'm interfering with my sister's plans. I'm not sure whether I need to negotiate for that.
It depends on what you're doing and if I find it
My
delightful.
friend.
So do you want me to do the letter first, and then we find out about the resolve token, or do you want to resolve token first that?
How's about you lay out the plot in your letter?
Yeah.
And then I'll just say if like I want that to screw me over or not.
Okay.
The answer will probably be yes, but still.
The resolve token is out there for you. Yes. My dearest sister, Vasilisa Ivanova. It is such a shame, don't you think, when a gentleman of good name and good family must manage his own correspondence, as well as the correspondence of his entire household. I do not know why you are so dead set and determined to turn my secretary into some foreign correspondent for that idiot Vladimir. However, please be assured that I will continue to monitor what's coming to me, myself in my apartments. Please understand, dear sister, that I know that your preparations for the wedding are keeping you very busy, as are mine. And other than the formal wedding invitations, it will be very difficult to entertain visitors or personal correspondence until such a time as I leave for my honeymoon. I would appreciate you not corresponding with my servants without my approval. Please give Andrei my regards.
So so basically you're trying to stop Timothy from being hired by. I think I'm totally gonna allow that. Yeah, like we'll like take the token for that. So
because I also just took fracture as my negative condition or my negative reputation. So I think people in society are learning that we have developed a fracture.
and I would love to write a letter right back to you. My dearest Borya, it pains me so greatly to hear that your wedding plans are not going according to, well, plan. I assure you that everything is going swimmingly over here. As you know, I did head up the Fedorovs for many, many years as you flouted about as an academic. So organization is a bit of a specialty of mine. If you'd like, I could even advise you on your own preparations. I'm sure that you'll find my help and guidance to be most informative. As for Mr. Olegovich, I am sure that I don't know what you mean about any kind of implication that I was conspiring against you. As you know, once you take over the head of household for the Fedorov Manor, you will have access to all of our family staff, including some very capable Babettes. I was just trying to think for Mr. Olegovich's future. I think that it's very important that we make sure that the people who have helped us are justly rewarded in today's society. After all, the war has left so many people broken, and I think that it's best that we make sure that they are taken care of, as you will be very well taken care of in your new home back at our old home. On a more personal note, I must say I'm surprised that you chose Sveta as your bride. I candidly had hoped that you would have chosen my dear friend Dominika for the honor, but I believe that Sveta will do well to carry on the Fedorov name. I think that my friend understands wholeheartedly where I come from, and I think that she has been an able and gracious ally the entire time I have known her. I think that she will definitely work to ensure that our families continue to rise in esteem and find happiness. Oh, dear Boris, I know that my ways can sometimes come across as condescending or overbearing, but I assure you, I only have what's best for you at heart, and I only want you to be happy. I think that your new arrangement at the house will be most wonderful, and I am more than happy to help you find Mr. Olegovich a new position, even though he so respectfully refused Count Vladimir's offer. I just want you to know that even though I may technically be a Vasilev now, I will always be a Fedorov at heart, and I will always have your best interests at heart. All my love, your dearest sister, Vasya.
That stung. I definitely have a letter to write. This letter arrives from in the hands of one of Andrei's trusted footmen to Boria at a somewhat indiscreet hour. And it reads, my dearest bosom friend. Yeah, right? Well, tea time or like late at night. My dearest bosom friend, it has been long since you and I have sat around a campfire and shared our innermost feelings with one another. I hope that by joining myself with your family that I can call you my brother with all the love in my heart, and I wondered if I might visit with you at your new country estate sometime after both of our weddings. I know that we had expressed an interest in going shooting together, alone. Please send your response and availability by return with this messenger and none other. I remain your dearest and truest friend on this earth, and now brother, Andrei. Yeah, why can't I quit?
You people are the worst. I think I have a letter. To the Countess Vasilisa Ivanova Vasileva, written in French in an incredibly elegant and refined hand. My dearest sister, for so I must always call you in my heart, as I know that your dear husband was my late father's most beloved companion, whom he considered to be as much a son as anyone has a right to be a father to. Your charming expressions of sentiments were so beautiful and well received. I regret that I arrived at my father's estate only in the later stages of his illness, and so we were not able to spend much time together. He had many things to say to me, as you can imagine. To discover so late in my life that I had a father, having thought I had lost one previously, well, it was quite a shock, as you can very well imagine. The last days when Andrei paid his respects were so tender and touching that, well, I'm sure you know already, that it would make the angels themselves weep. As I now am finally departing the period of my mourning and returning once again to society, I trust that when I visit Moscow this winter, that I shall have the delight of calling upon you and perhaps attending the various affairs of state that I am completely unfamiliar with, as I have been so far and so long since from my native country. I do hope that you and your beloved husband will call on me, as I know my father's house was always dear and close to his own heart. I have the honor and courtesy and respect to remain your ever-loving sister, Babette.
I think I have a letter from Princess Dominica. to our very popular Vasilisa, who's bringing all the letters to the yard this session, so to speak. I think so I said, dearest Vasya, again, I'd like to extend many happy returns upon your engagement and your upcoming nuptials. I would very much like to emphasize that I saw nothing but the brightest of futures between yourself and Count Andrei Fyodorovich. I saw nothing else than a genuine display of love between the two of you, and I hope that love continues. Though, do not fret in that your proposed relationship between myself and your brother, our dearest Boris, did not come to pass. Though you had sung his praises, I fear that he remains his own self and has decided to align himself with a Morozov rather than follow your lead. I write to you only to not rest on your laurels, to stay wary. After all, though it may seem that your dear brother has found bliss in his new relationship, do remind yourself that though a Morozov might change their name, they may not change their nature that easily. I fear that a campaign begins for not only for your position, but for your livelihood and for your estate. After all, you hear such terrible rumors that the Morozovs are going broke and that their patriarch has disgraced himself in war. You would not want that sort of stain upon your family name, do you not? So I speak only of caution, dearest Vasilisa. Oh, by all means, enjoy life with Andrei. But do remember that such moments of joy are fleeting, and you'll be called to war soon enough. And when you do, you have my full support as your dear friend. Yours, Princess Dominika Anatolieva.
I've got a response. It's a very short letter. It arrives on a postcard. Dearest Nika, I'm sure that I've read your letter, your most recent letter, in the kindest of intentions, and I make only the most kind of gestures back when I say, my dear Sveta is a Fedorov now, and though my last name may be Vasileva, I am also a Fedorov, and my brother, whom you did not marry, is a Fedorov. You, dear Nika, are not a Fedorov. And I understand your concerns, and I think that your kindness that you extend to me is most sweet, but I assure you, I still keep the most watchful of eyes over the Fedorovs, and I assure you that nothing shall befall them that is beyond my reach, including you, my dear friend. I will always make sure that those who are important to the Fedorovs are taken care of, and only those who are important to the Fedorovs. Wishing you the best, Comtesse Vasilisa Ivanova Vasileva.
I'd like to point out that Nikolai was the general. Nikolai.
He's not here no more. That's
I
how
know.
it goes.
I know.
I think I'm gonna take a chance to write a letter from Princess Yekaterina Nikolaevna Kuznetsova to Princess Dominika Anatolieva I can't pronounce that last name. To Dominika. My dear princess, it has come to my attention that you have recently written a letter to what has become now my dear daughter, Vasilisa Ivanova Vasileva. Vasya tells me that you were quite overt in your suggestions to her. I would like to remind you that she is now a member of my family. And as I am old, and such things as subtlety are allowed to be beyond me, I would like to recommend that you stay in the corner where you belong, my dear. That is all I have to say. All my very best to your mother and father, and I do hope to see you at court on your best behavior. Yours respectfully.
Nobody wants to get in a fight with this woman, right? That would be bad. Wow. Okay. Trying to think if I want to write Andrei, or do we want to actually, I'm just trying to think what he would say. Okay. From Timofey Olegovich Bulganin to His Honor Count Boris Ivanovich Fedorov. Dear boss, as you requested, I spent the evening with the coachman outside of the English club in Petersburg. Your friend Andrei did indeed show up. He left more than a little inebriated, and several thousand rubles lighter. He seemed desperately unhappy about something. I took it upon myself to offer to give him a carriage ride home to his wife. He paused for a moment, as if he harbored no ideas of going home at that moment, then sighed and agreed. At that point, he lapsed into a rather brown study, but he did say a few words to the effect that he wished to know more about how you were doing, and that he fondly remembered his time with you in the camps. I have nothing more to add at this point, Your Honor. I shall continue to observe him as you request. I have the honor to remain yours, Timofey. I think I owe you I think I owe you something. I think I'm going to spend the
Yeah, I'll take that. That'd be great.
I can't decide if I want to spend the one that's on the rumor. I think I'm going to leave that out there because I want more people to have fun with that than just me. So I'm going to just spend one of Timofey's.
So I have a quick question. So the check marks that are on the rumors and scandals, those are tokens we can spend.
Yeah, what happens is if you uncheck them, you're converting it into a reputation, a resolve token, and then the normal rules apply. And at that point, we cross the rumor off because it's not. There's nothing more to get out of it.
What is the protocol for spending one of our tokens to have one of our secondary characters write a letter? Is that allowed?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can spend a resolve token to compel someone to write a letter to you if you want, but you can also spend it to in the normal way. Are you gonna write from one of your characters?
Yes, I'd love for us to hear from Nikita.
Yeah, I've been thinking we haven't seen her yet. I think she could be good friends with Babette because that would be disastrous.
Oh, yes, for sure. And I think this actually, the letter is postmarked from the Bolokova house. And so it goes, and it's to Andrei. It goes, "My dearest Andrushka, It has been so long since I have seen you. I must admit, the news of your impending nuptials took me quite by surprise. After all, it was only very recently that I had hoped we might resume our weekly social calls. After all, I have purchased an entirely new wardrobe for just that special occasion. That's it. I've enclosed a receipt from my tailor, actually detailing exactly what I have bought, so that you may know the depths of my excitement for the point that you would return from the war. And then it's like the tailor is from like Borov and Sons, and it's like it's actually for like a bunch of men's suits.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely should spend a resolve token. Give it to Andrei, who has all the resolve tokens. Dude, you want to dig yourself out of this hole? You've got the means. Anybody else got a letter, or did we get everybody's?
Oh no, I've got my last. I get 2 letters each, right? I've got my last letter.
Yeah.
From Maria Petrovna to my dear and beloved cousin, Sveta. Dear Sveta, I do know that our last conversation, I was unpleasant, and I wish to apologize. I also want to congratulate you. You have long known, I think, that your father is a man who collects troubles. And I am delighted to see that you are free of his influence. The Fedorovs are occasionally controversial, but stable family. And I do hope that you see that even taking a title below our station, those of us brought up in our parents' fractious, conniving ways, can hope for a life in gentler, more honorable society. As I'm sure he's written you, he's written me about his gambling debts. I have sent him nothing. I encourage you to be equally strong. It will be good for him to learn that he cannot abuse his children's trust to cover for his lifetime of poor judgment. I hope that you will continue to show the world that those of us raised in this family are not without soul, honor, and heart. Nor are we entirely leeches on the good graces of polite society. May your marriage bring you only happiness and a lifetime free of dishonor and controversy. Yours sincerely, Maria.
Okay. So let me pitch you guys an idea. To get our novel chapter in, may I suggest an enormous ball in Moscow where our various characters can crisscross on each other.
May I ask if that could be at the Fedorov estate, because I have high society as my positive reputation
That sounds absolutely wonderful, and I look forward to visiting the stately Fedorov Manor.
Which has become notorious for very, very good parties.
I'm sure Babette is looking forward to a chance to finally getting to see what society looks like.
And I've made sure to extend Andrei and my sister an invitation.
And we can have connections there and just, arrange the scenes so that we'd never have to overlap them. And if we ever really need that, just ask me to step in or ask somebody else to step in real quick. I think we're all in the knife twisting mood, so we're not going to blow this. So this is fabulous. I love this idea. All right, Borja, it's your show. How do you want to architect this?
I think I have also invited all the people who would be on the border of people you're not supposed to invite, but you're also not supposed to storm out of the room on. So opera singers of the high rank, not the company. Perhaps even some dancers of the high rank, not the company. People that my sister will be slightly embarrassed to be seen with, but people she cannot afford to just disdain or snub publicly. I feel like that's sort of the upper elite of the artist world.
And people that you know that Andrei will be so stoked to hang out with.
Oh, yes. Including some incredibly handsome young actors.
And Nikita?
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, who's arriving first? Or do we want to just pick up where everybody's there?
I would love to pick up in full swing if that's okay with everybody else.
Yeah, that works for me. Cool. I think Babette comes up to you, Boris. Count Fedorov, this is a meeting that I have long treasured the opportunity to take. I know that you are such a dear friend to my beloved brother, Andrei.
Izolevita Nikolaevna, blah, 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 sorry. Princess, it is an honor to have you here. I have not had a chance to visit with your brother, my brother-in-law yet. Are you enjoying yourself?
Well, this is quite different. This is how Moscow balls are done. I have been to similar affairs in Paris, but they were not of such splendor, I suppose is the right way to say. I knew a few people at the Comédie Française, and that this is magnificent, wonderful, astounding. She trails off at a complete loss for words.
What they say about Moscow balls. We lack the climate, so we must make up for it in ostentatious grandeur.
Can Andrei swing in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Andrei swings in with 2 glasses of champagne and hands one to Babette and says, "My dear sister," and kisses her on both cheeks. "And my dear brother," and kisses Boris on both cheeks.
Andrei Fedorovich, it is good to see you stop by.
And Andruska, it's so wonderful to see you in such good spirits. I must say that the winter doesn't agree with you, I think.
How could I not be in good spirits? I am newly married. I am surrounded by the people that I love. There are so many artists here.
Yes. Well, I do think that there's no reason that Moscow should have a reputation as a city bereft, while Petersburg continues to enjoy so many connections with the continent. I think that Moscow has a certain grand beauty.
I agree. My sister, what do you think so far?
I barely remember Moscow. I grew up with in Petersburg, and then, of course, I was away at school from a very young age, and it has a stately beauty that is its own, both Asiatic and European, and something uniquely its own. Much like you, my dear brother.
I have to say, she possesses a way with words that few women have.
She has a way of flattering her relations that too many Muscovite women lack.
Flattery in the most kind of senses, I'm sure, as Vasya swoops in with a fan, with a very disapproving look on her face, and says, "My dearest Babette, I am so sorry that your first introduction to Moscow society should be such a poor imitation of what it could truly be. I knew that letting dear Borya have full control over the party planning would lead to certain issues and certain failings, but I certainly didn't expect this to be what you intended to greet us all with, dear brother."
Andrei wraps his arm around your waist and kisses you on the cheek with barely restrained husbandly glee. And it's like, "My darling wife, tonight is not the night for venom. It is a glorious party, and you look magnificent."
Also, I did not want to bore Sveta with details I could manage quite well on my own. And of course, Sveta is the lady of the house.
And how is dear Svetlana Petrovna?
Yes, I have not seen my sister-in-law in some days.
Well, I would send for her, but at a party, she roams freely.
It seems my brother does not know his wife as much as I know my new sister-in-law. Oh, there she is. See, here she comes now.
I extend my hand out to her.
I think I think when I was just walking by, I was trying to look like I was gonna melt into the walls, but Vasya knows me too well. But I'll take Boris's hand and says, "Well, dear Boris, it seems you're performing your job admirably.
I hope
Friends,
people are not boring you."
They are adequate.
I tried to invite as many well-read people as I could find in Moscow between the major seasons.
Well, that speaks more to the dearth in Moscow than to your efforts, dear Boris.
I quite agree.
My dear wife, would you care to join me in a dance?
Yes, I think that would be a good idea, darling Andrushka.
Oh, I adore the Aquasias, but perhaps one of these charming young men will choose to.
I would
like to spend a resolve token
I was about to do the same thing.
for Timofey to be there, and for me to say, I know exactly the man, Timofey.
Why? Okay. So has Timofey come up a little bit in the world to be invited to this dance as a guest?
A personal secretary?
Okay.
I think I brought him along.
I mean,
he would be a personal secretary, so he would not be serving.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so
he's not a house servant. He's a
gentleman.
Yeah, he's a gentleman.
Yeah.
Okay.
He would not be a good marrying match for someone's sister.
Right. But safe pair of hands.
Certainly not for a princess. Hey,
I'm not going to put her in the hands of Count Vladimir, for example, who is also here.
He's certainly very safe to have your sister dance with.
That's exactly what I asked.
I'd be honored to dance with Timothy Olegovich.
You just see Vasya's expression darken.
Both mine and Boris.
Yeah.
Sveta,
I'll take that resolve token. Thanks.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Say it again, Boris.
Sveta, Would you like to retire to the balcony to watch? Or do you want to make our one turn on the dance floor before you retire to tell everyone what the correct opinion on politics and economics are?
Oh, I feel that can wait. That can simmer. I'm sure we'll only dazzle everyone to submission once we take our turn on the dance floor. For now, let's wait it
Oh.
out.
Then why don't we go stand somewhere where we can see?
That sounds like a lovely time, Boris.
I'll hand you some champagne.
Yes. I downed one drink and I hand you one as well.
I sip and escort you up the staircase to where we can sort of watch.
Yeah, watch and connive as we do so.
Ooh, I want to talk to Sveta.
Oh, please.
All right, so I think we make a little time later. I come up the balcony, kind of clearly not getting a lot of dance partners, which is, yeah, I mean, Babette is a fine-looking woman and she wears her dresses well, but there's always something a little uncomfortable and odd. And she's also tremendously nearsighted and doesn't wear glasses in public because everybody told her she can't, even though she wants to. So I think she finds Sveta and is like, Svetlana Petrova, may I speak with you a moment?
Of course, my dear princess. I'm sure that I hope that you are enjoying yourself here, my dear husband spared no expense to throw a bash like this.
Alas, while it is a charming diversion, it's not quite the entertainment I would perhaps choose for all my engagements.
Oh? Then what sort of engagement suits you, my dear?
Well, leaving aside the fact that these men, while charming, seem slightly less than eligible. Svetlana Petrovna, Countess, if I may pay you a compliment, you strike me as one of the most intelligent women I have met yet in Moscow.
Many hold such an opinion. I leave it up to you to judge, dear princess.
It is just the hardest part of coming to Moscow, beyond once again becoming used to living in Russia, is I have left behind the kind of intellectual society that I did so adore when I lived in Paris and then later in London. And to lack the company of educated women such as yourself has been very hard on me. It seems to me that all the girls my age in Moscow are all desperate to find a husband, and here I sit upon a great fortune and could use a husband, I suppose, but I would want a husband who is not like the ordinary man, someone who would respect both my mind and my soul. But that is neither here nor there. You do not need to worry about the troubles of my matchmaking. It's ridiculous. I would greatly enjoy it if you would perhaps come to a salon at my house and perhaps bring such women as you think would make for excellent company. And then I suppose my brother Andrei knows all the eligible bachelors of Moscow for some reason, and I'm sure that he would be more than charmed to send over intelligent men with whom we could have a true discussion about art and philosophy. And do you know that my father, had the most wonderful maps of Europe? I have spent
Dearest princess, please. I know your plight very well. For a while, I too labored under the hardship of not having much to converse with. Do not worry, princess. I know of what you have experienced, and it would be remiss of me to hear your plight and to just brush you off. You seem one who is above such petty dealings such as matchmaking and whatnot, and I do believe you found a kindred spirit in me, dear princess. I would be glad to pay you the favor of accompanying you in your days, making sure that you're not left wanting for intelligent company.
Countess, I could not begin to express my enormous debt I would owe you for such a deed. I thank you, Sveta. You are proving to be a true friend tonight. If forgive me for being so forward as to use your name like that. But
Oh, don't.
please be assured that you may call me Babette.
Oh, dear Babette, don't. I appreciate women who are forward. And she's gonna pat you in the shoulders.
Somebody else go.
Yeah. I think we can just end it there. That scene, and see what everyone else is doing.
I just choked and I wasn't drinking anything.
I would like to have a scene with Andrei since we haven't had a scene together in a while.
Yes, please.
But I didn't want to interrupt. But yeah, I think once you're finished dancing, Vasya has gone off to disapprove of people.
Right, because that's what she does.
Which is probably not what she's actually doing, but it's what Boris thinks she's doing. I'm going to take you by the arm and say, we have not had a drink since your wedding day, and we've not had a private conversation.
That is very accurate. We have not.
Since
I confess, in my cups.
Andrei, how much have you had to drink?
An amount of champagne equal to the amount of my joy.
My dear brother, come out to the balcony with me.
Absolutely. He follows along behind you, grabbing a bottle of champagne off of one of the servants on his way out.
I'll have some people send some tea out.
Delightful notion.
I found champagne gives me headaches these days.
Sugar.
Yes, and I've already had quite a bit of it myself. No, and I changed the order to coffee.
An excellent idea. I pull out a small cigarette case and offer you one.
Well, it does warm up the lungs on a chill night.
They're French. I received them from a friend.
Truly.
Really?
Well, perhaps they'll be bringing you more any day now.
I hope that if they do it, sort of one at a time.
I doubt we're going to get that wish.
How do you find married life?
I was going to ask you the same question.
That's what I expected.
Sveta is brilliant.
Yeah? In what way?
Her brain misses nothing. Her mind sees everything, every small hint or clue, every adjustment in the servant's attitude,
Does she
every
know everything
detail that anyone else might have missed.
And so does she know everything about you?
I doubt there is anything I could possibly hide from her. Before she even married me.
Interesting. Well, perhaps we'll be able to go home together.
Married life treating you?
I expected doing my duty for the family name. Your sister is less sweet than she was when we were young.
I've noticed the adjustment in her demeanor, the cruelty.
I think the weight of responsibility has settled on her ill.
And she will not give that responsibility up, no matter what good opportunities she has in front of her now. And I lift my coffee cup towards your champagne glass.
Indeed. One of my friends suggested that if I give her a child, she will calm. But then I think I would just be giving her someone else to disapprove of.
Is she really grown so cold? I thought it was just towards me.
Hey, she treats me with some warmth, but then she does not know my flaws.
I was unaware that my good friend Andrei had that many flaws.
And Andrei lights a second cigarette, looks across at you, and winks and says, well, just the one.
I only counted 5.
Counted 5.
Which, if to be measured against Vladimir, you would practically be in heaven if there is such a place.
I so
Right.
want to spend my monologue token here.
I mean, do it.
I want to hear what Andrei's really thinking.
There's a pause in the conversation, and as you like mix up another cup of coffee for yourself, Andrei's gazing at you across the balcony, and thinks to himself, if only I could have married this man instead of his sister. If only I could have the sort of closeness that we could have when no one cared what we did, but that closeness came at the cost of war. And now with his cunning wife, will we ever be alone together again? You're allowed to cry, it's fine. So, I am glad that married life treats you well.
It does, but I worry about my sister. As angry as she makes me, I feel that Moscow has done her some disservice. That the cold is sinking into her in ways that no one deserves. Why does she hate Tima so much as she does?
It's hard to tell. She hates everything. I mean,
Not you.
because of your relationship with him.
He is
Is
someone I care for.
Boris, may I speak very plainly to you?
Are you going to do otherwise?
Well, you know, you could say no if you did not want to hear my thoughts.
Other than Sveta, there's no one who spoke plainly to me, more plainly to me in my life than you.
Well, then I will do it again now. You and I both know the relationship that you had with Timov, and I will say that I am not a jealous man, and so it concerns me not who warms your bed when I am not near. But your sister is as canny a woman as your wife.
My wife is less cruel.
Canniness and cruelty are not always hand in hand.
I kind of want to spend my token and hear Boris debate in his head where his heart really lies. Is it with Andrei, who he had all those feelings with, or is it with Timothy, who he can actually have?
But who probably doesn't love him.
No.
I think he's leaning out over the balcony overlooking the gardens, and we're probably seeing at least one diva feigning disinterest in the attentions of at least one military man who is not Vladimir, because then we would just both take out our pistols and shoot. No woman with that much talent should have to put up with Vladimir. No woman should have to put up with Vladimir, but definitely not anyone with
No.
the ability to sing that well in the Moscow cold should have to. And I'm deliberately standing about 1.5 feet away and not getting too close, in the hopes that proximity will not reignite anything. And I'm thinking, do I just tell him now? Do I just tell him now? What I think every time Tima comes to my rooms, every time he takes a letter, every time he runs an errand and then returns. Do I tell him that? Do I tell him things I've never even told Tima, because Tima would laugh at me? And Andrei might be driven to tears. And no matter what I say about where my heart lies, it's not going to bring anyone joy. But I think I just turn back and say, like, I think I need more coffee, and then probably to put in an appearance and make sure that Sveta has not decapitated anyone for stupidity. Because there are lots of stupid people in Moscow. Come with me?
I think, and you let me know if I need to spend a resolve token for this. I think there's like a curtain that covers the window off of the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
And I glance at it and then tug it shut and say, maybe I'm one of the stupid people from Moscow, but I don't think we should go in just yet.
I'll take that resolve token.
Excellent, great, enjoy.
I think we'll just fade into that curtain. And I think I pretend it's the cold that's making my face tear up as I kiss you.
Vasya, response?
I was outside the curtain the whole time.
Spend that resolve token. And you know what? Just spend it. None of you bastards deserve that.
No.
Just spend it.
Yeah. The last scene is like just a close up of my face, my beautiful face, as a single tear rolls down it. But then you see my face harden.
Oh no. Oh, Boris, we're fucked.
So, I'm happy to spend a resolve token. I don't know why you're upset, but I do know you're upset. and I'm going to try and make you happy in a
Oh
spiritual,
God!
philosophical way, because that's how Babette rolls. She's a sweetie.
Oh, that is how she rolls.
That is how she rolls. Cool. I've kept you pretty late. I mean, we could talk about reputation if you think you can get it done quick enough, because I'm not sure.
We could do it next time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna need some time to
Yeah.
process reputation.
Dream about this.
I'm just gonna drop this thing that I think we're gonna need in the other chat room, and yeah, wow. I love this. You guys are great. I cannot tell you all the feels I get from this game. It's amazing. Okay, so we'll come back and we'll do some more next week. That'll be fun.
Great.
All right,
right.
and I'm sure Napoleon will come back because, you know, why not? Everybody else wants to mac on Andrei.
Maybe I made out with Napoleon in
I
France.
don't know anything freaking possible at this point, though. He was rather famously really heterosexual.
So he went and camped outside of Moscow all winter, killing thousands of French people merely so he could get some time one-on-one with Andrei.
Listen, Andrei's really hot.
He is, yeah.
I mean, he melted my cold, icy heart and then froze it over.
Oh, God. This is
God, it's so bad.
Horrible and great.
He's going to kill me.
I will see you all next time. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye.